Hey, everybody. Let me just turn myself up here. All right. Hi. This is for Monday, 2/7, I think it's going to be, right? February 7th for our DMET 262 class. I know I got to make a video for you guys. This is for the lecture. You will see a separate video for the lab, and it will be posted in the lab. This video will be both for, I think, both sessions. I'll cover both of them because a lot of the one is in the other and the other is in one. So I'll cover just those things, okay? I know I will be at the conference and I promised you I will be present for the rest of the semester, barring any illnesses or sickness out of my control, right? So what I want to do is I'm going to share my screen with you. You'll have access to this video, boom, and you can replay it. So in case I go too fast, just hit the replay button, okay? You don't want a 50-minute video. I'm not going to do that. No way. That'll be too long. So check it out. We're in week 4. I've got the week 4 folder set up, and I'm also seeing it the way that you would see it. So normally I'd probably show you how I see things on the back end, but I'm going to see this the way that you guys see it. This is week 4. We got an overview, session 1, session 2, and then we walk through the assignments, which we know is the web quest. Okay, I'll give you a little bit of details about that. In the overview, it's pretty straightforward. What we're going to talk about is the SAS standards. Okay, we'll talk a little bit about WebQuest, and then I'll shift gears in the middle of this video to talk about, maybe some ISTE standards, but mostly the computer component scenarios. And this component here is actually for the quiz that you need to take. We're not going to talk about the voice threads and podcasting. I'll pull that off so you won't need to worry about that. But we're really focused on the SAS standards a little bit, which you've already done. What you'll notice in this class is that we do what's called spiral teaching. So what that means is I go over things and then go over them again, kind of review it a little bit for you, so that you don't miss it, so that we're not too far ahead, okay? Talk about the digital lessons and computer components. We'll talk about WebQuest. All right, that's what we're going to be doing. So let's get to it. All right, so here's the voluntary curriculum and lesson plans. Here are some example lesson plans, and I wove in here some WebQuest stuff. What you're going to see is probably me organizing a little bit and troubleshooting, because that's actually the theme of our components. I'm going to give you some live examples of me like troubleshooting, and you see this all the time. You see me kind of changing a couple of things, making some additions, adding some elements. And now that we have all of these mobile and flexible systems, we can do that now, right? Which is really good, because sometimes I find that there are better ways to express something or explain something, and I want to give you the best that I can at that moment in time. So this is a great link. Obviously, SAS stands for Standard Aligned System, and you've got a ton of content and curriculum with sample lesson plans. This is important. Why? Because we need to build lesson plans. Okay, we got to be pretty good at it. So here's just one random one for literacy that I'm just going to pop open. Okay, and you can kind of see what this basic lesson plan is all about. Okay, introduction to analyzing text, first grade. Here are the standards. Here are some anchors, assessment, eligible content, big ideas, concepts, competencies. I don't know why I don't have those filled out, but here's a basic outline of the lessons. And here is one particular lesson and its corresponding lesson plan. All right, lesson plan for determining the central message of a lesson. Objectives. Define the terms central message or lesson. Audience. behavior, right? This is the condition. What are these missing? Oh, right? So these can be improved. This is the condition. They're going to have a lesson, right? This is the audience. Here's the behavior, defined terms. Central mission or lesson plan. Okay. But in terms of degree, we can argue that these two are the degree. So for this one, define the terms, central message and lesson. And it's kind of bimodal, so it's implied here. The degree is implied. Are you with me? It's implied that they're going to do this one and this one. So either they do it or they don't. It's bimodal. Either they do it or they don't. Here's the next one. Identify a behavior central to the message or lesson of the story. Great, but no degree. And no degree here. These can be improved. Sometimes, this is online learning for the most part. So what we see here is a lesson that's designed to go to scale. So it's a template, it can be improved. There are some essential questions. We got some vocab. It's going to be 60 minutes, prerequisite skills. Here are the materials. Here are some support and some related materials. Now, here are the assessments. Okay, assessments and instructional procedure. Ooh, does that look familiar? It should. Focus question, introduction, right? Part 1, da, 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 da. Then part 2, da, 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 da. Okay, and then they're calling it an extension, which is fine, but I'd really like to see a closing here. But nonetheless, this is a great resource. I go back again. This is where it starts. Oops. You can do literacy and writing if you want and get some examples of some basic lesson plans for you to get the idea of how they're written. That's the voluntary. So we go back here, right? I've got some examples too in here. These are just the lesson plans. In fact, I'm gonna actually make a change here. So here's me troubleshooting. Get out of here. I just want lesson plans in there. I'm not going to put the web quest with them. So I'm going to pull these out. Let's delete these. I'm going to pull them out because all I want you to see are the lesson plans. In the lab, you will see these lesson plans with their respective web quests. Okay, so they keep it all in the family. Let's be troubleshooting, making some changes a little bit. Although there wasn't a problem, that's me kind of fixing it. And then I have some advanced lesson plans. My wife is an ESL teacher. This is one of hers. I was a math teacher. This is one of mine. And here's another one. Just if you're interested. If you don't want to look at those, that's fine. But I just gave you some extra there. All right. Now we move on to, just like to go to the whole thing. Yeah. So we're back here, and this is session 1. Lesson plans we just went over. We just went over some examples, and here is the web quest lesson plan, just to kind of point your attention back toward the web quest. But we'll talk about the web quest a little bit later. Okay. All right. Troubleshooting and computer components. This is a little module that I created for you. And I think it's a great way to just think about computers and computing. So I think it's helpful. Just look this over. Sign up with your school address, create a voice thread. And this could be a great tool for you to use. I'll open it for you to show you what VoiceThread's all about. These scenarios are something that we could have done face to face, but I can change that. Boom. Go back here. VoiceThread link. This guy's a problem. Just change it. Ta-da! So it's a better option, right? So this is VoiceThread. It's really neat. Let's browse one or two. Great for you guys at K-12. Let's do English. It seems like a nice option. Fine arts. Ooh, Percy Jackson. That's my jam. Okay. Now you may or may not have heard that, but that was literally this young lady here reading pages of this book. Okay, so what you can do is you can embed audio into this tool. You can, and we can go, must be her mother, her grandmother rather, and someone else and someone else and someone else kind of reading components of this book as this goes along. So that if you play this, it'll go along, you know, with these different people seems to be reading different components of the book. If you don't want to read, you can also, you know, you have different pages that you can show. But generally speaking, you're going to have someone doing some audio element of this image here along the way. So this must be her project, right? Sarah Fryer project on Percy Jackson. So she must have gone to one of the locations in the book and is telling everyone about it in her little VoiceThread. A very simple and easy to use tool, simply adding things, or this is Zoom, that was the Zoom, getting the link that they want you to go to. It's pretty simple to use. If you're on the back end, it's also really self-explanatory to use this tool. Sorry about that. Okay. Not here. Fine arts, right? Fine arts. This one might be about music. Okay, again, this one didn't use voice over, it uses text. So you can use that text too. This is a video. This must be her brother playing. Pretty cool. And then she's talking about the experience. And you can have other people also add some elements to this as well. So it's a cool tool to use if you'd like to use it. But what I'd like you to do though is sign up for a membership, or rather a profile. Okay. These scenarios are optional. It's about troubleshooting. Pretty basic narratives about how to troubleshoot various tools, whether they be software, a printer, a microphone, or whether a website is down. Pretty common to have some of these things happen, but when they happen, we got to figure out ways to circumvent the issue so that we can use the software, use the printer, use the microphone, use the website. This is how I think about it. I mean, when we're using our social media, we figure out, you know, we do a good job of figuring out how to get internet service so that we can continue to use it, right? We do things like identify a Wi-Fi location. We do things like switch over from Wi-Fi to our 4G network or 5G, whatever you have. So where there's a will, there's a way. And you better find a will, because let me tell you, computer issues are going to happen. Tech issues are going to happen, and you've got to figure out a way to circumvent them. And so this is part of the reason why when I'm giving assignments and things like that, we have to just work through some of the tech because you're going to come up with different ways to circumvent the technology that you're using, whether it be your laptop, our computers, this program, that program. There are a quadrillion million nuances in between you in getting the job done. So we find those, we circumvent them. So this is, again, the module. I'll just walk through it a little bit, try to look at some things. This is a Computer Basics PowerPoint. You can download it. You see when you hit that, it'll download. I have a handout as well. Hopefully they're not two different things. Okay, that walks you through the basics of a computer. Okay, you got a microcomputer, microchip back in 1958, way back. I know this is a little history lesson, that's all. You used to write and read in the DOS, and the bytes, these are sizes of data. You have your kilobyte, your megabyte, your gigabyte, your terabyte. Hertz helps push the speed of the processing unit. And then within a computer, you probably understand this language, which is OS, operating system. Some of us have a Mac, right? You have a Mac OS. Some of us have what's called a PC, and you have a Microsoft-based OS. Some of you are more advanced, Jonathan, and you've got a probably a Linux, you know, or something of that nature. So those things, these kind of elements of a processing unit in a computer are all over. Interesting fact, fun fact. If the car had kept up with the computer processor, then it would go 6 million miles per hour. It'd be able to travel from here to the moon and back in 5 minutes, travel from here to LA in about 17 seconds. Fun fact, computers are obviously getting smaller and faster and lighter and blah, 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 like quantum computing. But just understanding the basic elements of this and understand that this really networks to our bodies. The CPU is the brain. It's a central processing unit. It's the brain. All the networking pieces are the blood going through the entire system, memory in the brain, RAM, you know, your short-term and long-term memory is ROM, and your storage, inputs and outputs. All of this stuff are things that the physical body does. We just built into our devices. So these are the basic units of a computer. All right, this is the PowerPoint that goes with it. Let me see. These are some troubleshooting resources. Okay, this is the same thing as this. They are exactly the same. Yeah, I'm actually looking at it over here. They're exactly the same. A quick overview of this, but again, you can look at this on your own. This just helps you with your quiz, just knowing some of these facts. The very first microcomputer happened to be built in 1976. And then we got better. We got better at these things, right? We got these circuit boards that sent messages back and forth digitally. Understanding the history is helpful for you because it understands that hopefully you are going to understand that this is an evolution. It's a process. I'll say it again. Evolution, process. Same thing as you growing and learning and breathing and becoming a better person. It's the same way that our kids do. But it's the same way that technology does. Technology grows. It evolves. It's actually living. It's not a living, breathing organism. You can't say that technically, but it has very similar characteristics. Because why? Because people are behind it. That's why. And people learn and they grow and they evolve and they have to solve new problems. And so that's what technology is. So if you are technology adverse and you're one of those people that say, I can't use technology, that's baloney. That's like saying I can't breathe and learn and grow. You feel me? Good. So this is what's happening. You get a transistor, all right, and it's got a vacuum tube. Vacuum means air, it's sealed tight. No air in, no air out. Okay, you're welcome. And they start talking about all these different tools that were used back in the 40s, because computers, again, back here, don't miss this. This was the microcomputer. That means that they were able to, in 1976, take all of this and then shrink it down into something that we can use on a personal level. That's all. Okay, you ever watch that movie Hidden Figures? This is dope. Back in the day, this whole thing took over a whole room. All right. And when they were trying to put people on the moon, this is what they use. They use these tools. Why? Not because they just like glorified technology, because it was trying to solve a really big problem. How do we safely land someone on the moon and bring them back? It's a big problem. So that's what computers can solve. They can solve really big problems. All right. So I'm not going to give you the lecture on this. You can look this over all on your own, and you can do very well on the quiz. As a result, we talk about bytes, zeros and ones, memory terms, breaking down the units of kilobytes, kilobytes, megabytes, gigs, and terabytes, and some language, which is really great for you to understand, because as you migrate to things like Google, and you got 17 gigs of stuff, of free information, well, probably be a good idea to understand that if you are trying to migrate a video and it's that 1 gig, you have to do the math on that and make sure it's worth it. Because if you got a 1 gig video and you got 17 free space, if free amount of space, it's taking up quite a bit of memory. So that's why it's not working so well. So when your phones stop working and you start doing this whole like atrophy thing, they're like freaking seizing up on you. It's probably because there's a memory issue. I've got 256 gigs on mine, which is great. It's a huge upgrade from 8, and maybe you have more, but you got to understand that videos take up a lot of space. So every video that you have takes up a lot of space and room. So understanding a little of this could help you in your day-to-day grind. Okay, and that's why I have this for you, so you can kind of get an idea of what these numbers are. You are moving into 5G. These things almost will become irrelevant, but they're still relevant now. So my suggestion to you is kind of take heed a little bit to them. You got these jump drives that are now obviously at 32 and 64 gigs, which is great. You need that. You got cloud computing now, which we'll actually touch on in our next video. Which is great, and that's what you guys should be using now for show. Okay, you've got Google free, you've got OneDrive. You've actually paid for that one, so it's not really free, but you can get free access to OneDrive, which is great, and it's cloud-based, so that's nice. So you don't have to worry as much about this. The problem is, again, Dropbox, Google, whatever. There's only a certain amount that you can have for free before you have to start doing some math. Okay, good. All right, computer specifics. Your laptops, they're cute. Speed is hertz. Speed, hertz, speed, hertz, speed, hertz, speed, hertz. RAM bytes, RAM bytes, RAM bytes, RAM bytes, RAM, random access memory. That is measured in bytes. It is a volume. It's a how much. Okay. Everyone was asking, what is DOS? Disk operating system. Right, the operating system, the disk operating system. We generally have Mac, Unix, Linux, Windows, etc. But those are the basics. Okay, there's Linux too. Linux, L-E-N-U-X. I'll find out real quick. That's going to drive me crazy. My buddy actually works for Linux. It's Red Hat. Yep, Linux. Operating system. Linux. Yeah. CPU, central processing unit, is the brain. Set it. Speed hertz, speed hertz, speed hertz. The magic bus, you can check that out. How? Look at this computer, determine its processing speed. Yeah, go figure that out. All right. You guys can figure that out. And input devices, output devices. Yep. These are the inputs. We've got many of them. Usually we use mice Usually we have these sweet cameras. Hello, sweet cameras. And they can be external or internal to our device. So sometimes we have the laptops that have built-in cameras. Those are great. And then it has a touchpad, input device. Me, headset, headphones, input device. Right, and then there are output devices, which boom boxes, boosters, speakers mostly, things like that. I would even say like printers sometimes, print stuff out, and scanners. All right, and then you have storage devices and you have external hard drives. I've got a few of those. I can't find them right now. This is an attachment. This is a hub. I get to put more USB in there. Sometimes you need it, sometimes you don't. Thanks for watching. All right, so that's the overview. It helps you with the quiz. That looked really weird. It bothers me. So let's fix it. Boom, boom. Okay, so now what, right? Well, try not to make things too complicated. There's only 2 assignments. There's the quiz on computer components here. And I do not put the Dropbox for the web quest here because I'm trying to keep things simple. That's over in the lab. So if you look at the lab link, that's where you'll see the Dropbox for the web quest. Okay, and that's where we're putting our energy and time. And we pour all of this stuff into that project, which I will break down for you. Okay, I think this is a pretty great overview. Just go through some of the materials here at your leisure, and it's due when you'd like. If you're paying attention and you watch this the whole way through, you'll find a very sweet nugget that I'm going to drop on you right now. Some of you understand this and know this, some of you not so much. The reality of this class is that you can have whatever grade you want. I'll say it again, you can have whatever grade you want. The due dates are the due dates. That is when I will sit down and review and get you feedback as soon as I can in the immediate, right? But let's say you get a grade and it's, I don't know, 75 out of 100%, whatever. You can submit it again. You say, hey, Dr. E, I did everything that you said in the feedback. Here's another crack at it. Did I accomplish, the task? And I'll say, probably, yeah, because all you had to do is just follow what I gave you feedback on. I'm going to tell you exactly what you need to do to fix it. So fix it and then submit it again. Booyah, 100% all day. All right, I hope you're having a good one. We'll talk soon. This will be posted right in the overview. All right. Peace and chicken grease. See you in the next video.